What's going on, y'all? We're back again. This is Dwayne with Success of a Nation. And I got my man today, Jamel Jackson, I'm really feeling what this guy is doing, right? He's an entrepreneur, he's an author, among other things, but today we're going to call him, his official title, The Relationship Mechanic. And he's got a book called The Value of Relationships, Principles to Building a Solid Foundation. And that's all something we can use. So I'm really looking forward to this one, man. If you ready to get started, I am. What you think?
I'm ready.
There we go. He didn't even hear that, but that boy is on beat. So we just gonna drop it like that and get to why we're here.
Let's go.
All right. So Jamel Jackson, man, you know you bring so much to the table, man. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye, you know. When I first met you, I realized that just talking to you, just for the short time that we spoke. So I said, well, this is a brother. I definitely got to get on the show. So that's what we're done. That's what we're doing. Like I said, the title of the book is The Value of Relationships. Going to give a little something right there so you can see that firsthand. And we're going to go from there, man. Before we dive into this, because this is a lot. This is a lot to unpack. Before we dive into this, give me an idea of who Jamel Jackson really is, man, and we'll start from there.
Well, you know, when people ask me that, I always have like a whole line of things that I'm going to say of who Jamel Jackson is, but
that's fine.
I like to just sum it up with like, I'm a servant to the people, man.
Okay, I like that.
I'm a servant to the people. If I wanted to add some titles to it, I'm a philanthropist, community activist, evangelist. I believe that relationships are the most important thing. I'm a father.
Okay.
I'll put it out there, soon to be husband. Like
that. Congratulations on that, man.
Yeah. I'm a servant to the people, man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. So, the value of relationships, man. When I met you, I went on and copped a book and had an opportunity to read a good portion of it. Some things that stuck out to me was chapter 3, the benefits of going deeper. I like that, man. I like that. So, I mean, you want me to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with that right there. And, then we can just gradually move into whatever, chapters that come to mind for you.
Yeah.
But I've got some standouts that I wanted to holler at the author about.
I'm curious to what intrigued you about that chapter.
Well, I just thought that you had hit the nail on the head. I think that a lot of people are not willing to go deep, to take it there. And they leave things unanswered a lot of times.
Yeah.
Scared to ask the right questions or questions at all sometimes. And I'm the polar opposite of that. I enjoy those deep conversations. I like that. That's what moves me. That's what gets my juices going, so to speak. So with that being said, that's why the chapter stood out to me.
Yeah, I actually love that chapter too, man. I read the book still.
Do you really, man?
I do. I tell people that what was written and what is being, given through the book is for me as well.
There you
I still
go.
periodically got to go back and read it and see if I'm even in alignment with what I wrote. And I'm like, oh man. And the benefits of going deeper, man, it's like there's benefits to going deeper. And I think I remember saying it in the book that the benefits of going deeper is not connected to your pockets, it's connected to the people.
Yeah, you did say that.
When we feel like we want to give up in any particular area of our life, especially relationships. Now, I believe there are times where you have to call it quits based on the circumstances in the relationship.
Absolutely.
But with every relationship, whether it's with a significant other, family, business, there's always that level where we can go just a little deeper.
Right.
And I use the analogy, I use the biblical example, and there's individuals that I know that may not believe in what I believe in, but the practical and the principles still apply.
There you go.
The principles still apply. And I use that biblical example where you had Jesus talking to his disciples and they were fishing all day. These are men who were well learned. They're in the fishing business. They know what they're doing.
Right.
And this man comes out and he's like, look, I need you to push the boat back out. Go out a little deeper.
Yeah.
What you talking about, man? We've been fishing all day.
Right. We're good.
You understand?
Right.
I raised all these kids.
Right.
I know about this marriage. It's jacked up.
Yeah.
It's done. Me and my significant other, me and my girlfriend, my boyfriend, it's over.
Right.
The business is done. You don't understand. This is the last draw. I'm not going to apply for this loan again. This is the type of situation they in right now where it's done.
Right.
But he's like, I need you to go out a little bit deeper. One more time. I need you to forgive. One more time. I need you to go to the counselor. One more time. I need you to apply for the loan. One more. There's benefits in going deeper. But they think about it. It doesn't make sense to them. It wasn't so much about them going deeper and catching more fish. There was benefits to it. Yeah, it says they caught so much fish that the nets was breaking. They had to call for help. So it wasn't so much about your whole net and you catching all these fish.
Right.
It's not about per se your marriage or your business he could easily do something with, but he said, I want to see if you're going to go a little bit deeper in your situation. Forgive one more time.
And you keep raising the word forgiveness. That's chapter 8. If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that chapter 8?
The power of forgiveness.
The power of forgiveness. Before we go there, let me rewind for a minute. Where is all this coming from? What has transpired in your life in one way or another that has given you this insight and these principles that you clearly are living by, or certainly are trying to live by, as we all are?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? And we'll tie that into your faith as well, because I noticed through reading the book you have a lot of chapters and verse and things of that nature. So give me that, because I couldn't help but wonder.
Yeah.
Like, where does this come from?
It definitely comes from life, and it comes from I spent time with God, and what do I mean by that? That there was a period of my time where I was engulfed in the streets, and then I can't give no credit due but to God, because he snatched me out of those environments.
Okay.
And then I begin to, and I'm still, just establishing this relationship with God.
There you go.
And in moments in time throughout my life, I remember in 2009, I was just taking a walk, kind of like meditating, just taking a walk. And I'm like, God, dealing with some stuff. And I just remembered like hearing, in my head, like, everything you need is in the value of relationships. And I remember I had my phone, I just typed it in there. And so then from there, as the years progress, these particular chapters were, what should I say, thoughts.
Okay.
That I actually had to live out. This is not just something I put together and it's like, oh, it's a nice book. I lived these chapters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Building blocks, dealing with foundation.
Okay.
Chapter 2, mutual agreement. I had to go through these things. Like, even with the building blocks, when I'm giving the analogy of how I was working at a construction company, all through all that time working there, I was learning, I was living foundation, but also working as a construction worker. So I was like, okay, I could apply it. And God speaking to me in those moments as well, like, this applies to your relationship, Jamel.
Yeah.
And so then I'm applying it, winning and failing. You know, so it wasn't like I got the information and I applied it and it just worked
And
miracles.
you just
and
won.
No,
Yeah.
I had success and failures throughout all of these chapters in the book that I had to live. It's the first time I ever said that. I had success and failures in every single chapter in that book that's written. Now I'm at a point where I have more successes and less failures.
What does that look like, Jamel? What do your successes look like these days?
Man, in terms of, and even in terms of the foundation, every relationship now, even in the past, though, I believe the most important thing is the foundation that I build it on. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I believe that foundation is established on God's word, you know, and his principles. So when I do that, even if the storms or the challenges or the winds and the obstacles of life come, which they will come,
right,
my foundation is still solid.
Okay, so that's a win for you.
That's a win for me.
Absolutely.
That's a win for me. If something happened, you know, I was married 11 years, you know.
Okay.
Would I say the whole 11 years of my marriage was horrible? No, that would be a lie.
Right.
But the longevity of that marriage was because I built it on that foundation.
But just couldn't quite get it there, obviously.
Yeah, I built it on that foundation. Now, of course, there were variables, and this is not a conversation about marriage, but there were things that occurred later in the marriage during the I think it was the eighth year, ninth year. You know, some things that it's actually the bonus chapter in this book.
Okay.
So you got that in there.
Yeah. Okay, good deal.
But some things occurred, you know, and then we went through a divorce, and I still applied the foundation principles though.
Even in the divorce.
Even in the divorce.
Okay.
You know, mutual agreement, forgiveness, all of those things were still applied.
Right.
The mutual part is it has to be mutual. If it's not mutual, then it says, how can two walk together lest they be in agreement?
Well, that's why I was like, even in the divorce, because we know how a divorce can be. Mm-hmm. So you obviously had to have a party who was, to some extent, on the same page with you.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and people know my story. Those who have followed me on social media or have heard previous podcasts, and even my ex-wife, we shared it openly one time. I mean, she had walked out one time, you know, and so it led to eventually us being divorced. Okay. You know, and so what's interesting about it though is that people would say, well, how can you talk to me about these principles and you went through that?
No, that's not true. But I guess there would be an idiot or two.
And it's understandable. You know, it's understandable. I don't boggle my mind with it because, you know, wisdom still applies. And there was a point of time where I was going to not talk about this topic anymore.
Really?
After I went through the divorce, I had just released the book.
Okay.
What the divorce was in 2018. I had just released the book 2016.
So basically, if I'm hearing you right, you were basically, for what you were going through, you were saying to yourself, internalizing it, saying, how can I be going through something as tragic as a divorce or significant? Let's just say it doesn't have to be tragic. Yeah. But certainly significant. Yeah. After 11 years. Yeah. How can I be going through this and at the same time, here I am writing this book on forgiveness and being the better and all of that. So I guess that's what you were going through at the time.
Yeah, it was days where I was like, where the book was, where I was finishing it up, typing it, and there were things occurring, and I'm applying what I'm writing, and it's working, and it's not working, and
were you questioning it as you type it? Like, what?
I was just moving.
What am I writing right now?
I was just, you know, here's the thing, because it's not a marriage book.
Right.
I touch on marriage in the book because I was married.
But I mean,
when I wrote it, but the value of relationships.
That's everything.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, it's, and for those who are listening and watching, some of this may have to be caught, not taught. You know, you might have to just catch this, because the value of relationship is not a marriage book. It's not. It's a book about the value of relationships. And when I was writing it, I wasn't writing it to be like, I hope I could just save marriages. I believe that it would. I believe that it would save a lot of relationships. But I didn't write it with the intentions of, man, I hope this saves a lot of marriages. I was writing the values that were bubbling inside of me and saying, man, if this thing is impacting my life like this, those values they transform my whole entire world for the better. And I was like, man, if this thing is benefiting me like this, I got to put it in words, and I guarantee it'll bless other people. And so in 2016, as I'm finishing the book and I release it at the top of 2017, that's when I started to go through the divorce process. And then the book was already out. And then I was like, I didn't really want to talk about it too much, because I was like, man, I'm going through this. I can't talk about this. And then God had to deal with me with that. He was like, Jamel, the wisdom still applies. And what's amazing is as I got back into the position in the mode of talking about it, it actually was changing. It was actually changing thousands of people's lives. Over 10,000 copies sold.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was changing thousands of people's lives, man. And that's then what it gave me was insight on how to deal with people who are divorced. So I can kind of navigate through all angles.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I know how it feels to be with the sting of divorce. So I know how it feels with the love of marriage. I know how it feels to be dating. I know how it feels to be, you know?
So we got some counselor stuff popping off on the horizon?
No, I do it now.
Do you really?
I do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
People can definitely sign up to work with the relationship mechanic.
Oh, that's what's up. Well, we're definitely going to give them an opportunity to, get all of that information at
if they really want it. Because most people don't. Most people, they want to install the sprinklers when the fire starts, and then it's hard to do that.
Wait a minute, Jamel, go on. What'd you say, man? What?
They want to install the sprinklers when the fire starts. I used to do. I was in school I got a bachelor's in computer science, and one of the network security courses that we took was called disaster recovery.
Sure.
And during that course, we would have these like mock or kind of like fake trials we would do to send a proposal to a company that was like, hey, here's what we can do for your company in case there's a disaster, a flood, a fire, an unforeseeable act occurs. Here's what my company could do for you to recover all of your data in that situation. Yeah,
right.
During this study of this course, we found that most companies would actually reject these proposals. And say, you know what, we're okay. We don't want it.
Until it's too late.
The proposal may be about $10,000 to set this thing up. And they'll say, no, we're cool.
But it's 100,000 or millions for the lost information.
And the thing is, a flood would come, a fire would come, a tornado, anything, unforeseeable.
Yeah.
And now they're paying millions of dollars to recover the data.
Right.
Think about if Google rejected something like that, which they haven't. And if they were down for an hour.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Let alone a day, let alone a week.
Right.
It would cost them millions, let alone probably billions of dollars.
Absolutely.
But we do that in relationships. We don't have no recovery plan. Like a disaster is not going to happen. And I'm not saying it's going to be a great disaster, but.
Right. But just still being prepared. Mm-hmm. I get that.
I have something called where if when couples finish going through the course with me, I give them a relationship continuity plan.
Go on, break that down.
It's just like a business continuity plan, you know what I mean? A relationship continuity plan. I call it the RCP. So when you leave with some tools and some preventative maintenance things in case something is about to occur. You're already prepared with your communication. You're already prepared with your conflict resolution tools. Because if something happens, it's not like you don't want to prepare it in. No, let's look at our continuity plan. Let's look at this relationship continuity plan of some tools he get. Okay, she's talking like this. He's talking like this. I'm going to use this method.
Right. A lot of the times, the biggest problem is you're giving all of these tools, true enough, and you're to be commended for that. But a lot of the times people just don't implement it. And I was just going to ask you to speak on that a little bit.
The application part?
Yeah.
You can have knowledge. You get knowledge. You read the book or you read some type of material or listen to some type of material. You're receiving knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You get the wisdom when the knowledge is applied, and then you get understanding. Most of us don't want to apply it because it requires work.
Yeah.
You know, most people would not even sign up for relationship coaching because then you got to apply some work.
Right. And that's sort of what I was.
That's what I was saying. Like we like the idea of relationships. I wrote this in an article with in a magazine for this company. We like the idea of relationships, but we don't like the weight and the commitment and the responsibility that comes with it. So that weight and the responsibility is you applying things that you're learning. We just like the idea of it. Like, I like being with him. I like being with her. I want to marry her. I want to marry him.
Right.
That's going to require some work, and it's a beautiful type of work if that's the desire that you have in your heart.
Yeah, if you're willing to do it.
Yeah, whether it's marriage or just a long-term committed relationship, it's going to require some work, and most people just like the idea.
Here's one thing I want to ask you about, Jamel. The idea of a relationship versus executing in a relationship. Can you speak to that?
People know what they want, man. Like, let's stop playing games, man. We know what we want, man. Because when we have business ideas, we quick to execute on that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
Or we may not. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Right.
When I mean the idea of the relationship, if you're with somebody, it all starts out. There's levels. You know, the man meets the woman, or the woman meets the man. However you want to paint the picture. The man says, "Man, I can see you being my woman." Okay, that's an idea. Eventually, the man says, "Hey, you want to be exclusive? Just me and you." Boom. He asked this woman to be his woman. Now that's his woman. That's her man. That idea solidified. Great. Now they start walking through life. Oh man, I could see you being my husband. I could see you being my wife, or I could see you being my long-term partner.
Right.
Great idea, but I want to touch on the marriage part because I know there's a lot of people who love the desire to be married. You see her as your wife, you see him as your husband. Great idea. Now it is in the man's court. Although I know we got people out here with women proposing to men, I'm just cool with that.
Right.
That's crazy. To each his own.
Yeah, to each his own.
But traditionally, you have the man in a position now where you have to make the decision.
Right.
Because you see her as your wife. Time has progressed. It's an idea. It means nothing until you bend down on your knee and say, "Will you marry me?"
It's time to make that move.
It's time to make the decision.
Right.
Now, if you see her as that, it only requires you to do it. Do what you know and do what you believe. But what we would do is just say, "Oh man."
And one time you even said you refuse to be the one who's drug along.
Yeah. I would tell anybody not to do that.
I think that's big.
We think we're guaranteed tomorrow.
That's big.
You're not guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not saying live carelessly or reckless and don't make prudent moves and wise decisions, but you're not guaranteed tomorrow. People believe that they're guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not, like I said, don't make reckless decisions, but I said until you accept the reality of death, you'll never live in the fullness of life.
Run that back.
Until you accept the reality of death, you'll never live in the fullness of life. What do I mean by that? When you could accept the reality that today could be the last day, then you'll start to live in the fullness of life. You'll make decisions like, you know what? Back to the relationship. Okay, I see her as my wife. It may not be you met her in January and then
in March you gotta be getting married.
I'm not saying that.
What you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. But if everybody's timing is different.
Right.
But when you know. So once you know, now it's a matter of what are you gonna do with what you know.
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
You could say, "Oh, I'm gonna wait another year, another 2 years." You don't even know if you guaranteed that. If I know this is the person, then what I'm gonna do, me personally, if I know it is the person, then matter of fact, let me just be transparent, man. I ain't got nothing to hide, man. I met an amazing woman the top of this year, January.
Okay. This is Panama City.
No.
The beach and all that.
No, Panama City.
It better be you. We talking about. You was just telling me you was going on a trip that you were looking at the little small spot outside.
Oh yeah, for me and my girl. Yeah. I thought you were saying that I meet her there. Nah.
Just.
Oh yeah,
This
definitely.
is
This is the one. Yeah, this is the one.
Okay.
So at the top of the year, January, and now everybody moves different. So when people listening or watching this, they'll be like, but I'm saying how I move.
Right.
So met her. Time progressed. There's some other variables behind the scenes that confirmed it. Time progressed, and in 6 months, July.
Okay.
July, no. Oh snap.
you losing count, bro? What's up?
I've been August.
Okay.
Last month.
Right.
I proposed to her.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Why?
So you met in January.
Met in January.
And you proposed in August.
Proposed in August.
Okay. So 7 months.
7 months.
Okay. That's what's up.
Did everybody need to do it that way? No. But once again, the idea started as I met her in January. February we became, that's my girl. I asked her.
And when you know, you know.
Boom. That's my girl. That's great. Then as time started progressing, I had the idea of, man, I could see you as my wife.
Right.
She had the idea, I could see you as my husband. Great idea. Now it's in my ball court. What am I going to do? Am I going to do it the next day? No, but I'm just living life with her and experiencing life. And then it's like, okay, this idea, this concept of me talking about the idea, I'm the one talking about this. And what you going to do, Jamel? Are you going to execute on the same thing you telling everybody else about?
You going to follow your own advice?
You know I am. So then time progressed and I'm like, listen, I'm about to just ask her. I'm just going to ask her.
Right.
I believe she's the one. I'm not going to sit here with this idea like this. And then at the same time, I know I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. So therefore, if anything, I'm going to ask her. And if the answer is no, at least I know I didn't stall. I would, God forbid, something was to happen with her or me or with her. And I'd be like, man, I should have asked her. Not me. I'm not going to live in that moment. I'm going to ask her.
Good, yeah.
She said yes. So I have a fiance now. But I'm telling everybody, appreciate it. Thank you, man. But I'm saying that to say that I believe that's how we should move. If we know if we have an idea, execute on it. Especially if you're the man. Once you're the man and you're in that position, don't just let the woman just carry the woman along. I'm not saying you got to do it in the same time span I did, but at some point your idea has to be executed.
Now I'm gonna just play devil's advocate for a moment because as soon as I say this, you've heard it a million times. Man, I gotta get my money right. Okay, I gotta get the house. I gotta get things situated before I bring somebody into that. I gotta make sure I'm right, financially and otherwise, before I jump out there. And like I know, it's never the right time not that time that you're waiting for. You know what I'm saying? Especially when money is involved.
Oh yeah.
Speak to that.
My first disclaimer before I make my statement is, if you're engaging in sexual activity, I'm not condemning you. You're doing what you're doing. Right. I'm not against what somebody's doing if that's what two people choose to do. Now let me make the statement. Since I made the disclaimer, let's look at our value system, because I talk to hundreds of people a week, and they give that same philosophy or that same statement. They say, we're just waiting for the career, waiting to finish school, waiting to get a little more money, finances, and those are logical things,
Okay.
Then my question is, well, are you having sex? And they'll say,
you about to lose the one.
It's okay. They'll say yes. And once again, I made my disclaimer already, so I'm not trying to condemn anybody.
Yes, you did.
If that's where you are and that's what you're doing, that's just you guys.
And so be it.
But I'm just trying to have us look at this equation.
Okay.
Are you having sex? They'll say yes. Okay. So you don't have to wait for your career to be in order or your financial status to be a certain level or for the business to be a certain place to have sex. but it has to be a certain place for you to be married. For those who desire marriage or a long-term relationship, it has to be in order for that. So so basically, you're telling me that your sex or that's the most to me, that's the most valuable part of you as a woman and as a man. Do you mean to tell me you can exchange that but not vows? So that means that your career is more valuable than your private? Because that's what it's really saying.
Yeah.
That's what you're really telling me.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen. I said this. Why is it that we can come on, man? Why is it that we can exchange body fluids but not vows? I said if you're doing that, there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying, like,
no, you've made that
because you
clear.
can still have your plan. Like, well, all right, yes, it's a legitimate thing. We're waiting until our finance. We're trying to get our finances in a certain area. You know, actually, you know what? No.
No. You gonna have to walk back on that one?
No, bro.
Take that back.
No, bro.
You can't. No, bro. You can't even force yourself to even go.
Because I was trying to think of a logical.
Yeah,
no.
you was trying. Trying.
No, because you can get married and do that. To me, it's a cop out, and it's a level of commitment that people are afraid of. So it's like we'll keep using these things. Oh, as soon as I graduate from school, then I'll be ready. My career, when I get the raise at the company, then we're gonna do it.
Right.
What's the difference?
Let me go back to something you just said.
I know they're gonna come after me.
They're coming. They're coming.
I love them with all God's love.
What about the fact that some people regard getting married as a long-term commitment? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. That's a long-term commitment. One would argue that sex is not a long-term commitment. And as a matter of fact, sex is rather temporary. What are your thoughts about that?
Once again, to each his own.
Right.
But when we engage in sex, man, there's emotional attachments that occur.
Absolutely.
So you can just look at it like, oh, that's not the level and the value of that is not that deep. So go ahead and sleep with multiple women. Keep sleeping with multiple women with no commitment for longevity. Keep sleeping with multiple men with no commitment of longevity. I'm on the other end where I see the broken hearts. And I handle the broken hearts. I handle the emotional damaged people. I handle the mental damaged people from activities such as that. I talk to the women that have thought there was some long-term to this and given themselves away and looked at it as it was just a temporary thing. It's just sex. It's not that deep.
Right.
And then multiple men have visited your faculties, or you share with multiple men, or the man is shared with multiple women. And now
you feel
there's no good men out here. There's no good women out here. This is the mental damage. This is the emotional damage. This is the spiritual damage.
Is it safe or fair to say that a woman might experience that more so than a man? You got brothers coming up to you with the broken heart, talking about she has sex with me and now she won't, or whatever the case may be.
I would say women do
bring a little more emotion to the table.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, here's the thing. I say this, man, wholeheartedly, you know, because we're in this sex lane, and once again, for anybody that's engaging in sex right now, I'm not saying you're doing something bad.
No,
I'm just saying we really need to look at the emotional and the mental and the spiritual package that comes along with that.
That's attached to it, sure.
It's things attached to it, and we need to hold that as much value and weight as we do our long-term commitment. And I believe as men, we have a duty to start upholding our moral values and our standards for our black queens out here. You know, young men need to start having their standards where they're talking to the young queens like, you know what, no, I just don't see you as a piece of flesh.
That's big.
You know, I'm
big.
seeing you as maybe we could potentially build something long term. Maybe, and we don't gotta, of course, at whatever age you are, just building something long term. This is why I wrote The Value of Relationships. You know what I mean? Have I always been, I always desired long term.
Right. Okay. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Have I been in a position where it didn't end up long term? Yes.
Sure.
But that's always been my desire.
Right. No doubt. I'm curious, when did all of this kick in? Because let's face it, this is a very mature outlook.
Yeah. I
Right?
think you know what's crazy? It was
When you 20, was you 20 and you was on this page? I mean, if so, then that's probably, reverts back to your upbringing.
Yeah, in my teenage years, I always desired long term. Like I had this methodology. I say this to people all the time. Like when I was growing up, I was, in the streets with guys, we hanging out, doing what we doing. And certain people would have, girlfriends, and I didn't want one. I was in the streets. I liked what I was doing. And I was like,
hold on for a minute. What's the streets got to do with not wanting a girl?
Because this was my methodology. Like
that
certain times when I was doing certain things,
yeah,
I would have to run from police, or it was just dumb stuff.
So you didn't want to bring a female.
I thought my mind was, if I got a woman or I got a girl, then if the police come, I can run faster than you.
Okay.
You might be able to run fast, but this is just my mind at that age, like 15, 16. I'm like, I can run faster than you. When it's time to run, I'm gonna get away. You might get caught, then you might tell on me. That was the analogy in my head. So I'm like, nah, I'm cool.
You was on some Robert De Niro Heat type stuff. If I can't leave you in 30 seconds, I can't be with you.
And here's the thing. The thing is that I did desire it though.
Yeah.
I did want it, but then I didn't want it. And then so I think I was in high school. They were like my friends.
So did you abstain? I mean,
I didn't have sex. That was crazy is back then, you know what I mean? I don't care if anybody's listening or watching now. Mm-hmm. You know how you with the fellas and they're like, yo, man, you tap that, man? Sure. It's like, yeah, bro, you know how I do, baby.
No doubt.
In my head, I'm like, I ain't do nothing.
That's cool, man.
I'm cool.
That's cool. When you went through that with your wife, mm-hmm. I know you got chapter 8, The mm-hmm. Power of Forgiveness. I know that's in the book. Mm-hmm. Were you able to apply that? Or was it, you had to just chalk it up to a work in progress and keep it pushing? I mean, where was that?
That chapter was actually birthed out of that experience because I had to forgive. I had to forgive at that level. And God began to deal with me saying, Jamel, I need you to do the same thing. I need you to forgive. And I was like, no, I'm cool. Like, I'm not doing that.
So you did say no in this.
Yeah, I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I was like, and as I'm laying down, just, meditating, it's like his love and just the spirit was speaking to me like, that's the same way I handle you. I deal with you every day like it's a new day. Like when you woke up today, it was a new day. I didn't look at yesterday. No, he said, I need you to do the same thing with her. And I'm like, oh my God, like I don't even want to be hearing this in my head right now. Like,
right.
But I knew I had to do it. And so I said, you know what? All right, cool. I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I forgave. And we did get back together. And then something had happened again. And by that time, I was just kind of like,
numb to it? What?
Numb a little. Yeah, I was kind of numb to it. So I was like, yeah, whatever. So the power of forgiveness, yes, I believe people should forgive. But then what I learned after I released the book is just because you forgive someone doesn't mean you necessarily have to stay with the person. Everybody's story and everybody's scenario is different. This first chapter of the second book that I'm going to put out, The Value of Relationships, Volume 2, mm-hmm. You have that chapter in there, and it's called Living with the Memory. And that's what I had to learn how to do, live with the memory of what occurred. Because although I forgave, wow. And although I did the things that, people told you, just love and pray about it and fast and seek God's face, all those things are great.
You still had to live with it.
Top of 2018, after I had, after I decided that I was done, God began to unlock this understanding of living with, of memory, of short-term and long-term memory. He was like, Jamel, you never learned how to live with the memory. Oh, what happened? So that first chapter is called Living with the Memory. And most of us don't know how to do that. Of course, when our upbringing, you fall off your bike and you run to your dad. Hey, Dad, I hurt myself on the bike. Boy, just get on your bike. Just go back out there and play. So you get on your bike and you go play. You never got to express how you really felt. So therefore, I thought I was okay. And then one day I had to go to the apartment, and I put the key in the door, the old apartment, and I broke down crying, fell on the floor. Cause like you're not, the memory's too strong. But as I began to partner that memory and went through a whole course with my church at that time called the Healer Being Healed, 16-week course. During the course of that, we were talking about psychological trauma, generational trauma. We're all broken. Yeah. We're all broken. And my thing is, if you're willing to do something about your brokenness, you can identify it, then I can rock with you. But we will never know if we don't communicate this, and some of us don't know how to communicate this. Right. Some of us don't know how to be assertive and tell somebody, this is how I feel.
This is what I've experienced.
This is what's going on with me. I feel like this when you say this.
Right.
Especially some men.
Right.
You know, we're very macho and masculine. And that's a great thing, but sometimes we don't even know how to open up. During that whole 16-week course I went to, I had to retrain myself on how to speak. I became very comfortable now with saying, hey, this made me feel this way. Whether I'm talking to some guys I know or even my significant other, hey babe, I feel like this when you say this. Right. Is there another way that we can, whole nother type of vocabulary training? And I even teach this with people when they're going through the counseling with me or the coaching with me. And the reason my heart is like this is because out of everything we're talking about, there was some highs, there was some lows, there was some graphic parts probably for people. But the thing is, I'm in the business of humanity. One with an evangelical gift where I'm constantly in the marketplace touching mankind.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I get to hear a lot of the pain and the suffering. And a lot of it is stemming from relationships.
Right.
People have been hurt. People are damaged. So I value this information to this extent and come this way because I'm touching these people. Maybe some listeners and viewers, they're just probably like, oh, you're on the outside looking in. I'm on the inside. Holding the guy that doesn't want to deal with no women no more because of this, that, and the third. Talking to the woman that's crying right in front of me because this is her third divorce or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And they're thirsting and they're hungering for solutions, real life solutions. Not this old sugar-coated stuff. That's why I come like, yo, if you like the idea, then do something with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely living by that, man. I'd be remiss if I had the relationship guru with me and I didn't ask you, what are, say, 3 to 5 things that come to mind that you would want to express to the viewers or the listeners?
I would definitely start off with foundation.
Yeah.
Let's really take time and map out what are we building on. Let alone before you even meet somebody. Just as an individual, what am I building on? What is my foundation? What is the thing that's going to keep me stable, that's if anything occurs, I'm still able to stand. I'm still fortified.
Right.
What are you building it on? And then when you're connected with somebody, I would say, what are you guys building your relationship on? Then I would say mutual agreement.
Mutual agreement.
All coming from the book. Are we in agreement? Do you know what you want? I have individuals, I say, listen, write down your core values, things that you know, okay, you may have 3 or 4 core values. These things I will not compromise on.
Yeah.
One of my core values is God first.
Clearly.
Another one is loyalty. Just an example. It's something I'm not compromising on.
Right.
And once you have these core values and you express them to your significant other, then if those core values line up, now we have an agreement. Because if there's no agreement, it's only a matter of time before it falls apart.
Yeah.
It says, how can 2 people walk together unless they be in agreement? We got to agree. And a lot of times we connect with people and we're not in agreement. We're just like, oh, I love the way he looks. I love the way she looks. I know I really don't agree with that, but I'm going to connect with him anyway. And then as time progresses, we start splitting and going further and further apart from each other. And then we use the terminology, we just grew apart. No, you were never in agreement. You were never in agreement. So foundation, agreement, and I love loyalty. Loyalty. I'm learning now, man, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. This relationship stuff, we make it difficult. I make it difficult.
Absolutely.
I'm in there when I say we. Loyalty is one of those key components, and we can extract a lot of things out of the word loyalty, you know, honor and commitment and respect. But loyalty, a lot of times, if you see a relationship fall apart or dysfunctionality start to go run rampant in it, whether it's family, business, brother, sister, significant other, but specifically with romantic relationship, is because of loyalty.
Yeah.
If you think about any family right now that's going through it's the root.
Right.
Is somebody wasn't loyal with their word or with whatever they were going to do.
That was profound, man. I really appreciate you breaking it down the way you did. One other question comes to mind. You said you have your tenets or things that you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say that the woman that you take on as a partner needs to have those same things, or how does that work? Because I'm seeing, like, in my mind, I'm seeing, because you're dealing with two different people,
Mm-hmm.
her deal breakers may not be your deal breakers. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? Do they need to be in alignment, or can you exist with her having hers, you having yours? And I guess maybe I'm about to answer my own question, but we just have to respect one another's. What are your thoughts on that?
All of our values are not always in alignment.
Right.
That's why I said that word before that, core values. Like, these are things I'm not compromising on. We would not even be this far if the core values weren't in agreement.
Well, and that's what I was referring to.
And
I left the word core out.
Right. No, but I understand.
Yeah.
I think that's what I say, that in that communication part is so vital in the beginning.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we building on? Because if one person's like, oh, I don't care about all that, they might not say it that way, but whatever their verbiage or the language they choose to use, that should check something in your mind. Like, you know what? Okay, great person, but I can't do this. I love God. They clearly hate God, or they dislike the fact of any God being in our relationship.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make that person a bad person.
Right.
They just don't line up with that particular value that's a core one to you that you're not willing to compromise on.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you could compromise on it and go ahead and be with the person. And then that's when the frustration and the manipulation and the turmoil starts to seep in.
Okay. So with that being said, the core values do need to be aligned.
They do need to be aligned. And with me, I'm a very simplistic dude, man.
Okay.
I try to simplify my life. It ain't that, I don't try to make it too deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I realize you love God, you loyal, let's ride.
One thing I also wanted to touch on, you said you're a simple dude, right? When I heard that, I heard your upbringing, your religious tenets, I heard that when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safe to say? Like, a lot of the times they say, when you focus on the Most High, all those other things become insignificant or irrelevant.
I'm thankful for the woman that God has planted in my life. She's a country woman, man.
She don't want that Gucci. She don't want that Birkin.
I mean, she likes nice things, but that's not really her MO.
Right.
And she's an amazing woman that has taught that is even teaching me now more so. I'm like that already. I was like this already, but more so is her values are increasing my values.
That's beautiful.
Of life and the simplicity of life and enjoying the simplicity of life. And of course we want amazing things.
Everybody, right.
I'm more so focused on what's being revealed and what's fading.
Okay, run that back.
I focus more on what's being revealed than what's fading. What do I mean by that? Meaning this moment right now is fading.
Okay.
The vehicle that I'm driving is fading.
Yeah.
Everything is fading. So what's being revealed is what we can't see. I'm focused on more what we can't see.
Okay.
Because that's more real than than this mic.
Yeah.
And this is fading.
Now, you know that's because of your strong faith.
Yeah. It has me look at my fiance different every day. Because I'm focused on, I know even in our moment, I'm enjoying it. I'm present in the moment. I'm enjoying it.
Right.
But then there's a moment of time where I'm like, I'm seeing her being revealed. Like, oh, wow. I see you as a wife. I see you.
You're seeing what it can be.
I'm seeing what you are.
What it will be.
What you're fully becoming. I'm like, wow. So it has me in the moment respond different to you.
Yeah.
I'm not buying you flowers just to be like, look, I brought you flowers. I'm buying you flowers because I can see something else. And I appreciate it so much that I want to give you flowers. I'm rubbing your back or doing what I'm doing to you, all these nurturing things, because I'm seeing what's being revealed, and it's so beautiful to my mind's eye that I want to appreciate you in this moment. Because this moment is actually fading. So I'm actually bringing you what I see. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense.
You know what? That just hit me just now, man. Like,
what's that?
That's what I do with the value of relationships. Since I believe that God sometimes gives me that ability to see what's being revealed in a person's life,
yeah,
or in humanity's life, that book was my attempt to bring that here and put it in a book. That's what that is.
Wow. Okay.
And as that book is fading, my attempt now is to bring the second one and bring it here and say, look at this.
Good deal. That means we've got something else to look forward to.
Oh, yeah, you do.
That's great, man.
You do.
That's great. Nah, man, you really got me thinking, man. I know my wife's ears to the wall upstairs. She hearing all this. I gotta go buy some flowers or something, man. You done talk too much today.
Man, listen. Oh, I should have made that a point. Meeting again.
What's up?
I'm giving chapters out the second book. Meeting again, and that comes from what's being revealed to not focusing on what's fading. Meeting again. That's what I would encourage someone to do. You got the foundation, the agreement, the loyalty, and meeting again. Meeting the person again like it's the first time. Because that's what God said he did with me. He said, Jamel, every morning you wake up, I meet you again like it's the first time. New mercy, new grace, new love. I don't even think about what happened before. Meeting him again the first time. So now when I'm with my fiance, I've trained my mind for like the past 2 years to think like this. Not with her, but just with people in general. And now that I'm with her, I'm still training my mind to be more consistent with it, where when I first met her, I would send these amazing text messages with emojis and everything. And I still do that, because there was a moment where I was about to send a message one morning, and not to say that if I don't do it, that she won't appreciate it, but
right.
I was about to just send a regular message. I said, no, meet her again as if it's the first time. So I'll go and get crazy amounts of flowers, just using that example, or whatever the experience is. I'm in that moment like I'm meeting her again for the first time, or it's the first 3 months. We're not in the 7th month. We're in the 3 month. I'm in the 3rd month. And I'm like, but I'm in the 7th month, but I'm thinking like the 3rd month. Like, you know what? I'm about to meet her again. Like, how would I have did this? What? Yeah, I gotta open that door. Gotta do this. Gotta do this. And it's not for show. It's just that I'm trained because I want this like that. So when years go by, if it's 5 years from now, I'm gonna meet you again like it was 7 months when I proposed.
Ooh.
When I met you, I would hold your hand. When I met you, I would hold your hand and walk through the mall and whisper sweet things in your ear. I would go into the store that you like to go into. I would go in there and be all wrapped up behind you and say, oh, what you looking at, babe? You like those shoes? And then years later, it's like, all right, you go ahead, and I don't want to go in there, man.
I'm sitting in the middle of the mall.
Sit over
you
here.
Go do your thing. I'll be here waiting.
No, meet her again. Meet him again. You were very inquisitive about his football or his basketball, whatever sports, or about his hobby that he did. You were amazed at that. You sat there and watched him build that project in the first 3 months when you were with him. A year in, 2 years in, it's like, babe, can you hurry up with that? Get the screwdriver and let's go. No. Meet him again. Meet her again as if it's the first. You'd be surprised what that does, man.
Okay. On that note, I can't think of a better way to close out than to remind you guys to meet them again like it's your first time. That's dope, man. It's almost like a rap lyric, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
For real, I might just write a movie on that thing, man. The first time again. Listen, this is Jamel Jackson. I hope you got as much out of it as I did, because he was really bringing that heat today. I really appreciate you coming through, man. Um, if you have any last words, ways that they can follow you at, Jamel Jackson on Insta. Well, you tell them.
Yeah, for those that are listening or for those that are viewing, if you want to follow me or get in touch with me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's Jamel D. Jackson. My website is jameldjackson.com. So everything across the board, jameldjackson.com for the website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube is Jamel D. Jackson. So if you want to work with me, you want to get in touch with me, reach out to me through any of those avenues, and I'm ready like yesterday.
That's beautiful, man. Kept it simple for you too, so you can't forget that. Jamel D. Jackson across the board.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let's just say this too. I know we said at the beginning, but listen,
let's do something.
You need to go get a copy of this book, The Value of Relationships. Go to jameldjackson.com, or if you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio. I'm telling you, the book has changed thousands of lives across the world.
That's great, man. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's why he's here, again, entrepreneur, author, philanthropist. He's doing it all. And I couldn't think of a better person than to have him on the show. So, again, I humbly appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah. You've inspired and certainly educated today.
Yeah.
So, greatly appreciate you for that.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Jamel D. Jackson, y'all. And I'm Dwayne Dixon, and this is Success of a Nation. And we'll see you next time.